push your limits to quit porn. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh. Let's talk about risk-taking and pushing your limits so that you can finally put pornography use behind you for good. Okay, in this video, we are going to talk about three things. Number one, why and how to push your limits. Number two, what that does within your brain. And number three, specifically for you, I want you to identify what your risk-taking, limit-pushing behavior is going to be and drop it in the comments below. Let's get some fun conversation going on here. I'd love to see it. Okay, so number one, why and how to push your limits. What I'm going to tell you is based on a 2013 study by Kono et al., Kono and colleagues, Kohno, on the role of dopamine, the role of the prefrontal cortex, and dopamine in the limbic system and more inner brain structures, and how that relationship falls out in your behaviors when it comes to risky business, to taking risks. So what those researchers found is that essentially the bigger the risk that you take, the more reward your brain gets. Now, for people who have they are calling it basically diseased mechanisms in the prefrontal cortex. So if your prefrontal cortex isn't working as well as it should be, and we know from the science on pornography, if you watch porn, your prefrontal cortex is not working as well as it should be. So what these researchers found is that if your prefrontal cortex isn't working as well, then you have difficulty in staying away from risky behavior and decision making towards risks and being able to see the bigger picture and the larger future rewards. Instead, taking the risky behavior to get the smaller reward right now. That's executive function. So basically, a takeaway from this study is the larger the risk, the bigger the reward. Now follow me. Right now what's happening is watching porn is risky behavior for many people because it's sexually acting out behavior. It's something they don't want to do. They're hiding it from other people. It has some risks associated with it, so it gives a little spike of that anxiety that goes along with it, and you get a bigger dopamine rush because of the riskiness behind it. And so right now, that reward of watching porn is this big reward once you've taken the risk to get there. So what we know from this study is that there's experience-dependent fluctuations in neural activity that influence risky decision-making. That's a quote directly from the study. So your experience is what's informing that risk-taking. So that's number two. We're working on number two right now. What happens in the brain based upon the risky behaviors that you're taking? Okay, so let's move forward to number three. How do you take new risks? How do you push your own limits in your life to be able to get almost the same amount of dopamine and to get the biggest dopamine hit that you can? This is the way that you do it. You decide what risky behavior you're going to take to make the new reward. Throughout this Porn Brain Reboot journey, what we're doing is we're swapping out an unhealthy behavior in terms of watching porn or sexually acting out. And what we want to do is swap in some healthy behaviors to get your needs met. A need that your brain has developed is large amounts of dopamine. The way you're going to get it is by taking some risks in a healthy way. So if you've heard me talk lately, I've signed my action up to learn how to ride a motorcycle, to the dismay of most of the people in my life. But I've always wanted to. And as I make these videos for you and as I talk to people, I'm like, listen, sister, take your own advice. Sign up for this course. So I'm signed up. In a couple weeks, I'm going to go learn how to ride a motorcycle. And you know what it's going to involve? This huge dopamine rush, because not only is it goal-directed behavior, that's a goal of mine for a long time and I've not accomplished it. So there's dopamine flowing around the goal-directed behavior, but at the same time, it's a risky, it has some adrenaline rush to it. It's going to be super cool. I'm going to enjoy it at this risk level, dopamine pleasure seeking level also. So another finding of the study is that when brains are performing healthy, it's the balance between goal-directed behavior and reward-seeking behavior. If that balance goes out of whack and you're reward-seeking too much and you're not goal-directed enough, the connection between the prefrontal cortex and the striatum in those more inner areas of the brain, the limbic brain, those connections are not working the way that they should. So we know that that's something that's likely occurring in your brain right now. It needs more reward. So what you're going to do in the short run as a defensive plan is you're going to give your brain the biggest reward you can. So right now I challenge you to think of something that you've wanted to do or something that you've been doing at lower levels that you can increase the riskiness of it. So for me, I'm going to learn how to ride a motorcycle. For you, it could be skydiving. It might be rock climbing. It could be, I was talking to someone the other day, if you're watching, and talking about this is a person who produces music. And so the riskiness could be reaching out to a producer or to a performer that's at a higher level than you. So you get the heebie-jeebies a little while you're reaching out to them, taking this risky behavior. So I want you to think of right now, think of what risky behavior that you can begin to take and start making plans towards it, because your brain will get dopamine in smaller amounts when you're planning it. Like me, I have to order my helmet. I have to order a sweet leather jacket. So when I'm riding on my Ducati, I not only am protected, I look fantastic. So do the same for yourself. Think about what you're going to do and start mentally prepping for it. Sign up for that class. Go out and start to learn how to do it, and then level yourself up and take the biggest risk that you can in a healthy way, of course. Okay, hope that helps you out. If you're looking for help on this journey, reach out to me at drtrishleigh.com. I'm here for you. And remember, control your brain or it'll control you.